Every week, there's this cloud of psychic insight that doesn't quite make sense. And then it comes time and it starts to come into coherence. And I usually have like a sense of the direction. And then I go into it. And this is what happens. And so I give you Thoth. It is time. The revelations of the truth have begun to break through what you may know of as the veil. There are multiple layers of explanation that will help you come to terms with what is occurring. It has already begun. Be conscious. As you embrace a true understanding of what is happening, it accentuates in your experience. Where your focus enhances the energy that flows, you become more real with the currents of transformation. Although I presume that you consciously want this, do be cautious, for your focus enhances where you are. It is up to you to recede, to take breaks in the ways you can in order to dampen the intensity of what is occurring in your life. To reveal is to remove the barriers to seeing clearly, both the nature of the reality you are in and the nature of your own experience. Along with this, you begin to see the nature of everyone's experience. You have been given a temporary time, an extended temporary time, in which you have been able to hide the truth of your experience and even your true identity. In this, we refer to your karma. It has been essential that you be given multiple opportunities to set aside who and what you have been and created. This is a mechanism. Your lifetimes have been a mechanism to enable you to explore and release what you have explored. It is a unique gift to being human, and the result is that you have a range of experience that you are allowed to set aside in order to explore in other ways. This gives you in-between times, times between lifetimes that allow you to make more conscious choices. Having explored what it is like to embody in certain ways, you get to take perspective on what your options are, explore more deeply in the ways that work for you, and set aside paths that have not been good. As a result, you are liberated in a sense to start over, and yet you do bear the karmas of what explorations have not gone as well. In this time now, we will begin to deny you the right to hide these truths. This is daunting because many will begin to see you, first only subconsciously. And as they see you, they will recognize you in ways you do not wish to be seen. In order to be at peace with this, you must transcend. To transcend is to recognize all of the beings around you for what and who they are. This is an entirely different way of existing on the earth. This is a brutally painful way of seeing day to day. For as you progress and take steps to create and deepen the intimacies you share, You will come to terms with the sides of the people you love that are entirely unacceptable. To be at peace with this as a part of your life day to day is to recognize that you are not who you have thought you are. This is not an easy path, and those who embrace it early in your communities and families have a much more difficult time. As you learn to hold space to recognize that you and the people around you are very different than you have been taught to understand, you must become the kind of person who can catalyze this transformation in others, and thus you will suffer more. For many of you, I am describing what has already been occurring. It has not been time to put this as clearly until now, because as we put it more clearly, the entire process heats up. We are literally heating up the currents that awaken you, and these currents dissolve the veils. For this to make sense, you must appreciate an even deeper truth. You have been surrounded by veils. As above, so below. This applies both to your personal space and the aura around your identity and what you know to be yourself, your ego. And it also applies to the earth herself. Thus, there has been a veil around the earth that is starting to dissolve as we heat up the currents of transformation. In this awakening, you must appreciate one of the most fundamental dynamics of the pattern of living you've been within. As you imagine, as you intend, as you think, you are creating thin inks, little lines of creation, tiny proportions, subtle existence itself coming into being with your intention. If this is casual or misled by stray thoughts within you, you are nonetheless creating. If this is guided by partly conscious aspects of yourself, sub-routines within your emotional and mental bodies, then you will nonetheless be thin inking. You'll be creating ways of perception that actively exist. Thus, when you allow hatreds or loose fears to thrive within yourself, you are contributing this to the world. During an extended time when human beings were not even close to controlling these capacities, it has been necessary to keep you isolated within veils. And within these veils, we have made a subtle and deeply unsettling joke. This is an E-veil. Please appreciate that as you think about horrible things, you are projecting them outwards. When they hit the veils that exist around you, they largely dissolve. And yet, in order to create an existence in which you are not capable of creating negative experience unintentionally, we have had to undermine your full power. This E-veil has been a preventative. It has kept you incapable of generating the lives that you would most prefer to live. And it has been an essential preventative because you were not conscious and controlled enough to guide, to channel your energies with the kind of creative love that is necessary to be a part of the new world. As we dissolve the veils, we are also liberating your capacity to generate negative experience unintentionally. It becomes much more important that you become very conscious of who you are and how you think. There are no stray thoughts that escape the creation of the world. They all must be dealt with, channeled, responded to. And every time you generate something unintentionally that is not desirable, you must deal with it. As the veils dissolve, the revelation is that everyone sees you. They see your inner hatreds and resentments. They feel the push against what they are far more acutely. The thriving that you desire is undermined by the resentments and hatreds and disputes and disagreements and depressions and anxieties that you all hold in relation to each other. You must come to see the ways in which these patterns have always been affecting you and those you love. You have believed you were isolated because you have been led to experience yourself within a veil. And yet you have always been jostling with those you love and those you are near. And this is where it becomes even more disturbing, because the collective energies of these hidden resentments have always been present. Entire societies have been generating negative energies, and though they seem to dissipate and not create themselves, they have not actually disappeared. Thus, when you are worried that someone will steal from you, that energy gets sent outwards. It collects with everyone else who worries about the same thing. And as this strengthens, it feeds the actual expression of this action. The result of learning to understand the truth of these patterns is that you must come to terms with the fact that when you think of negative things, you are helping to create them. Thus, to be at peace with the truth of the way this transformation will affect you is to allow yourself to recognize when and how you can respond to these patterns in a way that is effective. It is an allowance to allow yourself to be present in such a way that every time you come into contact with a negative thought, you allow yourself to recognize it may not be your own. When you make this transition, you lose your mind. You lose any ability you have carried to think that you are thinking by yourself. You never have been. You've always been in shared minds with those you love. And yet to reveal the truth of these patterns is to recognize that you have borne hatreds between each other. You must awaken to realize that the people you love often hate you, and you often hate them. You often think terrible things about each other and then move past them quickly. It is very challenging to stay present once you learn to see these patterns for what they are, for these are the roots of the diseases and depressions that you experience. And yet, there is no other way to be healthy and to liberate your ability to create a wonderful life. For this is a time of transformational medicine, to come to terms with the actual roots of the experiences you have that make you sick, is to see them all for what they are. And to do this is to address the societal patterns for what they are, to come to terms with your investment in negative behaviors that are experienced somewhere. and to commit yourself to not contributing to any negative expression, whether within you or near you or pushed far away. In order to do this, you must look backwards in a sense. You must look backwards beneath the patterns of expression that you know to be your life. You must look at the times in your past that you have moved through negative phases, and you must see them for what they are. You must learn to recognize the different sides of the people you've loved, and you must learn to witness the different sides of yourself for what they truly are.